Yeah.
Setting up your webinar. Beautiful. And welcome to Creating 2019. Here we go. Finally, we did it. Thank God for Zoom. Thank you so much, guys, for being on with us. I have the amazing, I call her the Oracle. A lot of us call her the Oracle. She doesn't really like it, but I love it because it so suits who she is in this work and the vast amount of knowledge and wisdom and experience that she brings to this work. Just to give you a little bit of a back end story on how I met Miss Betty. I was all about, I wanted to be just like Sylvia Badachi. She was like the legendary trainer in my eyes. And I was just trying to pay my dues to be to really learn how to become as powerful as Sylvia Badachi. And then I met Betty, and Betty blew me away to the point that she really brought, I had transformation and spirituality separate, and she really brought it in for me as one. Um, and then I heard she trained Sylvia Badachi. So I walked right up to her and I said, I want you to do what you did with Sylvia and make me Sylvia Badachi. And she was like, we'll see. But I love this woman. She has been a huge staple in my career, informing me as a trainer, and yeah, someone that I really love and appreciate and respect and admire in this work. So without further ado, Miss Betty Spruill.
Well, thank you, Michelle. And to everyone who's listening, as you probably know, it's been your experience, is that Michelle is not only beautiful, but she's committed, and committed in a way that for her uniqueness to be expressed in her care for what's possible for people. And that's what makes a great trainer, a great coach, a great parent, a great human being, is that our lives become more than just about me. You know, we go through different stages. You know, as children, quite often it's about how do I get my little Pampers or diapers changed? How do I get milk? And so it is about me pretty much. And then we go to another stage of how do I really belong? And we forget that we already do belong because there's so many systems and institutions and structures and worldviews that say we don't belong. So then our lives start to be about fitting in. How do I fit in? Because it's a fundamental need of us human beings to be cared for and to care about. I mean, that's essential, caring. And so, and then at some stage, which is where I met Michelle at a stage, she was about how do I contribute to others? How do I contribute to others? And what will be the full expression of my life? What is it which is a conversation we've been having recently, the conversation between unique and special.
Yeah.
What is it that will have me embody the practices, the thinking, the language, the ways of being, and the deeper understandings of life, that I can be a full expression of this gift that has been granted me through life itself. And you can call that God, universe, spirit, but there's something that animates this whole universe.
Yeah.
That's greater than my little small ego, of which I am a co-participant. And the co-participation of that allows for a broader and wider expression of a fundamental truth about all of us human beings, is that we are magnificent. So thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. I love this conversation that we are diving into. But first, I would love our audience to hear who you are, what you do, and what you're about, Betty.
Okay. Well, you have my name. So I don't confuse my name with who I am, right?
Right.
Because if you say, "Who are you?" and we ask this question quite a bit. It's a fundamental. It's an essential question. Who am I? I'll give you my biography, and for the past, I guess, 70 years, I've been immersed in this life here on planet Earth with many of you, and have never met you. But when I say immersed here on planet Earth in this biosphere, this biology, this ecology, and like so many of us, with the question of, who am I? What do I do with my life? Is life doing it to me? Am I doing it to life? That goes on and on. Am I loved? Am I being loved? And so I was born in North Carolina, a little town called Pantego. And early on was concerned, cared about how we are together, and interested in the interconnectedness, the interrelatedness of life. Meaning, in a big family, 10 kids, mom and dad on a farm with the vastness of nature. And I could walk outside on this farm and look up at the sky and see the stars and all of that that's going on. And living on a farm can be quite messy. Unlike living in the city. I mean, being in a city can also be messy, right? But chickens, and my mom would cut off chicken heads, and so I got to see where our food came from. It wasn't manufactured. And when there was a little chick I had that I raised and helped this little chick grow, and then one day it was time to eat her, and she disappeared. So my mom said, it's a part of the reality of life. She may not have used those words. She said, but that's why we grow chickens, so we can get eggs, and then we can eat them so that we can live. I'm going, but not my chicken. This is a special chicken. Don't eat my chicken. She said, well, we'll get you another one, baby. We'll get you another one. That was the way she went through life, is though there's always a possibility. Nothing was the end for her up until the day that she passed when she was 94 years old. Mm. So I've always been curious about us, about the universe, and wonderment. And then I went through a stage in my college years where I was a radical activist. And again, still concerned with the same question. Why does the pigmentation of my skin determine how or who I am or how I should be treated in a country, in a world that says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. So I know I wasn't a man, but at the same time, I'm one of those people who's equal. We're created equal, but yet there are structures, there are rules, there are institutions, there are worldviews that say that I'm not. How do I deal with that? And then being a woman as well, as a woman, the connotation was that you are less than, and in being less than, you are not as special as someone with a different pigmentation. You're not as special as someone with a different gender or educational background. Early on, I had these questions, and I remember one day sitting in church, and I was real little. I went to a church of, what did you call it? The church Disciples of Christ. And the Sunday school teacher was talking about the Holy Son of God. And I looked up, and there's Jesus in front of us on a cross. And she said, he's the only Son of God. And I raised my little hand, and she said, yes, Betty. I said, well, if he's the only Son of God, what does that make me? I'm not a son, I'm a daughter, and I don't look like him. Get out of the church. I mean, it was like,
Already starting it.
already started, or sitting in church, having grown up on a farm, and the Noah story, the Ark story, which I didn't know was a metaphor at that time. May not be, it could be true. I don't want to get into anyone's religious beliefs, but they were talking about two of each kind going on the ark, right? Male and female. So my question was, how can he tell a male ant from a female ant? Don't ask those questions. So questioning. I've been questioning the worldviews, the philosophy, the mythologies about us as human beings, as long as I can remember, and got into trouble for it. Not at the level of Socrates or someone, but, and so then I graduated from school and found transformation work. And transformation had to do with what I was seeking or looking for at the time. Was at the very heart of who we are and how our interpretations and meanings and culture shape. But then shape us. But I was still left with the question, and well, who am I that can even be shaped? Right? Mm-hmm. And so then in the years I've gone through these different conversations, and Michelle, you and I were having this, I take different distinctions and I might sit with them for a year just to say, what does this mean? How is this shaping? How is it informing? How is it constituting a world or a life? And I was having a conversation with someone about being special. And she was saying, well, you came from a big family. How did you get to be special? I said, I never thought about being special in that way. I don't know. I don't even know if I wanted to be special. Unique? Yes. I mean, unique in my expression in terms of the family, unique in terms of the contribution I was going to give. And I wanted to be unique in how I was loved. So maybe that was over on the side of special, right? Yeah. But I started to look at this and say, if I live as if I'm special, which has a lot of shoulds in it, I should be this, this should happen, then I am removed from the very possibility of living an extraordinary life. You know, it's like there are no two people on this planet alike.
Not even identical twins. They do not have the same fingerprints. Yes.
Same fingerprints. And now with artificial intelligence, they're beginning to see they can do eye imprints. Just so no two eyes are the same. No fingerprints are the same. So we're all unique. And a unique expression of the one. It's like if I take a cup of water out of the ocean, that water is still the ocean, but in a cup. Mm-hmm. And by going into a cup, it can appear to be special or even unique. But the uniqueness will come from knowing that I am a part of, connected with, interrelated, interconnected with all that there is. And then with this expression that is the ocean in this cup called Betty Spruill, what will I give back to the ocean? You know, and giving and receiving then becomes one and the same, because I can only receive that which I'm giving, and I can only give that which I've received from the greater ocean. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Total sense. And I am loving this conversation because I am experiencing, I mean, in my life, right, there was this need to be special, the special trainer, the special coach. And I think you really did it for me. And no, let go of the need to be special. How can you distinguish yourself? What makes you different, right? Which is back to that uniqueness. And I'm seeing it a lot in the conversation with coaches where they're like, this need to feel special is so heavy on them, because it, like you said, there's so much shoulds in that. So this is so great that we're bringing this forth.
Yeah. So in your uniqueness, you can distinguish your uniqueness, but this is the beauty of this mindset as I'm seeing it, because by distinguishing as a coach, especially, and as a trainer, but I'll stay with coach, is to have you express your uniqueness allows for this whole field of people to be more alive, more vibrant, more seen. And so if I look at a field of flowers, and you got your red roses, you got your yellow daffodils, you got all of them together, then you have a tapestry,
Right.
a beauty, a dance. It's like music. If you're only playing one note in music, you don't have music, you have one note. But when it's many notes that are playing and each note stands out, but it's in harmony with so many other notes that's going on, or instruments, then you have the harmony of the universe. And so when I start to say I'm special, and I do my best to have you not be special, because I think it's going to take something away from me, I am defeating the very joy and beauty and genius of life. So as coaches, as teachers, no, it's about it's not even a how to, but it becomes a mindset. It becomes a way of being, to have all of us expressing our uniqueness. And it doesn't mean sameness, because we're not the same. It doesn't even mean equality.
Oh,
right? Make sense?
That's a whole nother can of worm.
Yeah. We'll get into that one. Okay.
But I agree with you that it's not sameness. And how can we really, by honoring our own uniqueness, in turn, we honor all these different uniqueness, like you said, this beautiful tapestry where we're all adding to this plate of beauty. And I think that we forget that. Like I don't know if it's scarcity, I want to call it scarcity, but our scarcity feeds into this need to be this shining light among the choir, right? To have the spotlight front and center. And I'm telling you, my ego was so down that road a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
It creates a lot of dissonance when you are in partnership, in relationships with people. And even something that I learned personally, Betty, which you know, it doesn't create space for big players to play with you.
Yes.
This is so good.
Because what, a part of awakening is also spaciousness, is making space for people for all of us together, because we are together here. For us together here to realize our uniqueness. Can you imagine if there had never been trying to think of someone that people might, let's say if there had never been an Albert Einstein, what, maybe someone else would have come along and shown us some of the same, things that he showed us about relativity. Or imagine if there had never been a Beyonce.
Right.
She shows us something. Or, this weekend we're going into a holiday, Martin Luther King. If there hadn't been a Martin Luther King who at some moment he was called. This is the thing about calling, but you got to be present to be called, because the phone is always ringing, but people aren't answering. And as the story goes, he was called, and when Sister Rosa Parks got arrested, and he said, "No, it's not my business." And his wife, Coretta King, said, "It is your business." So we, in our community, in our living together, in our participating together, it allows for us to let our lives emerge. at the core of our desires, which is to shape our world with others and shape it, I'm going to say, in the way where most people can realize their full possibilities. Or if you can think about somebody in your life right now, even if your mother and father, when they were being called to give birth to you, if they had said no, you wouldn't be here. But something, we're always being called. Can we answer and be the space for others to answer what their calls are?
I love that.
Yeah. And that's a part of what leadership is. And mothers know this all too well, right? I think about my mother a lot, especially now. Raising 10 kids.
That's
Not
insane.
you said it. That's insane. Yeah, but and then we don't have, once we are listening, and it's a kind of listening, Michelle, as you know, and we saw this when we were in Africa together.
Yeah.
Remember our trip to Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that trip was Ghana, West Africa. There's a listening of the world over there and their interrelatedness, interdependency that called us to be silent in a way and not just be tapped into our already existing listening and then let something else emerge.
Mm-hmm.
So that when I'm trying to be special, and I like to be special, but when I'm trying to be special, I'm also substituting. I'm inventing a substitute life for that which is already unique and special. Right?
And if we could dive into the specialness, I get when I think about Ghana, I literally get moved because one of the things that stood out for me was the people and how spiritual they were. And it was like the values everywhere you went, Betty, was like God, family, purpose, all over, everywhere. When you think about this need to feel special, what we're really looking for is this like external validation that we're important, that we're seen, that we matter. And that wound is like driving you without you really knowing that it's not about being special. It's, you really get to tune in and start creating that internal validation.
Yes. And so when you're saying you're special, you're also saying you're disconnected from that which creates everything.
Yes. Oh my God, so good.
Now, that's where the egoic mind comes out. I'm going to separate and be special over here doing my own thing, not realizing it's like the cup in the water.
Yeah.
You have so much more when you in the ocean, one with the ocean, but you don't have that. You can't be special.
I love it. I call it with my clients when you're trying to be God in a bubble, you're trying to play God in your bubble. And you're absolutely right. There's so much support, resources, this divine intelligence that you can just lean back into when you acknowledge that you are one with the all and honoring the all. I think this is so good, Betty. What can we tell like our audiences to really start healing that need to feel special, that need to seek the external validation?
One is to notice your breath. Now, we're all breathing the same air. I think that's so cool. I really do. And how crazy it is. And I'm breathing the same air as people in Europe, Asia, Africa, South America. We're breathing the same air. But now, how I take it in and how I process the air might be something to do with the individual, but that's happening whether I'm thinking about it or not. And then, so real quickly, I don't know how much time do we have.
We got time. Don't worry.
I was working with a client this morning, and business client. But of course, it got in. Sometimes it goes to my relationship and what's happening there.
Yeah.
And the words were, "I'm not special to her anymore."
Mm.
Really? Tell me more. Um, and share some other things. I said, "Well, how special are you to you?" "Oh, I'm special," and la la la. I said, "Well, let's see. Maybe that's part of the problem. You're looking for someone to make you feel special because you have a sense that you're not special already. What if you got that you are whole, beautiful, magnificent, and that no one can feel any donut hole?" Because the donut hole is for you to feel it with, not something external, as you know, Michelle. But this is the process, noticing your breath and then paying attention to the thoughts, the conversations, the feelings in your body, and how you get triggered, how you get pulled off course. You start to make up all kinds of narratives because we all live out of a story. And some of these stories are quite amazing. People have gone through some traumatic things in their life.
Yeah.
And what I begin to see, even though that's occurred, you're not special. That's your life. That's your path for awakening, for opening up to what has been forgotten by you and maybe some other people. So one is to breathe. Two is to become a different kind of observer of your thoughts, your assumptions, your attitudes, your beliefs. And when I say observe not like judging, but become an observer where you can extend radical kindness to yourself, knowing that a part of what it is to be human is that we bring meaning to everything. And you start to notice what meaning you're bringing. And then, the third piece, which I do a lot in my own life, is I journal. What is this saying? What does this mean? And one of the most important pieces that I can say today is be in a community of people which people on this call, and I would imagine in the communities that you serve, that we began to learn together. We began to debunk many of the myths that we live in this worldview about who we are, what God is, what the universe is. And the final thing I would say is to have patience. Now, we live in a get rich quick,
which is BS.
Food. Huh?
Which is all BS, by the way.
It is. I mean, some of you may know this, but you may not know it, Michelle. But I like basketball. That's an understatement. I love basketball, and I love my team here in the Bay Area, the Golden State
one of the best.
Warriors. Well, they were having a hard time. That was the assessment.
Yeah.
They're still the number one team in the NBA, but they're having a hard time.
Yeah.
But but something I learned about practicing and the virtue of practicing, because it's embodied. You know how to make these 3-pointers and how to play with the team. You might have a bad time, but if you stay with your practices, if you stay present, if you stay engaged, then your practices that you've embodied will begin to take over and move you through whatever difficulties you might be having. And there will be difficulties. Part of the special conversation is that it shouldn't be this way. There shouldn't be any difficulties. My lover and my boyfriend shouldn't look at someone else like he's interested. This happens. Or the government shouldn't be shut down. I won't go into politics here, but all of this. But as long as I have a should,
right,
I'm in a conversation called no possibility, no innovation, no what's possible. But this happens. The world is not new, and yet every moment is new. It's, so those are some of the things that I pay attention to. But one of the greatest gifts we have is we have each other.
Yeah.
And we can challenge each other. We can listen to each other. We can begin to not be so attached to our views and our opinions, which is, part of the polarization right now in our, not just in our country, but in our planet. This is the way that it is. I'm right. We know this exercise. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. And in that context, no possibility. So one is begin to listen. And that.
I love that. I want to talk really quick about the Golden State because I think that what makes them such a powerful team is that there is no one man team. Right. They are all honoring each other's strengths and they are really leaning into each other's strengths. And I love the leadership in that team because of that. And I think that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, that they've excelled for a few years consecutively in winning, because they are really a team, in my opinion. And then the one thing, Betty, that has really supported me in moving away from the special conversation, because like I said, my ego needed all of that at one point, was learning to really honor people. Yes. Really honor each other, honor my colleagues, honor the coaches, honor the trainers. The moment I started to honor the mirror, the relationships, the people, the colleagues, the players in my life, I started to see my own uniqueness shine through. And I'm really grateful for that perspective. One of my best friends was like, he would always be like, dude, you need to like clean the mirror. And part of cleaning in that mirror is seeing the other people, really seeing them.
Yes. And as you say, is to be live life as a thank you.
Yeah.
See, no matter what shows up, it's a thank you for showing me this aspect that I've been blinded to, because it could only, that's the, so we do away with this whole notion of duality and separation. Yeah. And instead of living as if there's a you out there, then there is aspects of me showing me myself, not in an arrogant way, but showing me life. The thing about the Warriors, I went to see them play. I've been very fortunate to see them play twice. And last year when I went to see them, they lost. And I said there was no music. And before there was music, they would throw the balls behind them, connected, like harmonizing. It was just there. And when I saw them play again, it was dull. And other people didn't think that, but I'm going, where's the music? Not connected. So when I go internal, in the way that we can go internal sometimes and just make it about me, then I stop dancing with the whole team. And then my concerns about me and not about how we together are coordinating, living, passing the balls, receiving the balls, cheering, celebrating, disappointment, all of that, all of that's there. And more, like here on planet Earth, we're a team with this planet too, which is one of the biggest, I don't know if it's the biggest concern, but it's a big concern. If we don't take care of Mother, like really, that Mother is not just here for us to use and consume, then we don't have a dwelling place. And so being connected to all of it allows for the full expression of life in ways that we can't even imagine yet, Michelle. and building teams,
Yeah.
And I don't mean like build like a building, but cultivating and nurturing the virtues, the practices, the kind of integrity and ways of being that can have everybody on your block shine. And when everybody is shining, then that which appears to be impossible becomes possible.
I love this conversation. And you know that we could like dive into so many more.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
I have one more question before we move on to my last question that I ask all of our speakers. And I can't thank you enough, Betty, for saying yes and making the time. Um, there was one thing that I always quote you on that has left a really, I mean, there's so many things that you've imprinted on me, but there's one thing that really stands out. And that I quote you all the time in my workshops and trainings. You said something to us when we were training with you. When, let me put it this way, you said a thief could enter my space. And the moment he enters my space, he becomes a giver because of the context that I hold for people. And that has left a mark on me, Betty. And I really want you to touch on that because I really want to I want the audience to understand how we create people and we are always, our contexts are always creating how people show up for us.
this is very good. In that, and I know you're going to be speaking to my dear friend later, Dr. Isis Fuqua. But let's say if there is no separation, no duality, and everyone is an aspect of the one, and I call it me. But me is the illusion, the biggest illusion. Called there's a fixed self called me. So someone shows up, and we call it a thief. If they steal something, then I give gratitude. Say thank you for showing me where I'm stealing. Even if it's a paper clip, time. When you're special, you got to steal. You got to, it feels like that, right? You
Yes,
grab
attention, time, money.
Time, money. I'm special. But so they're showing me. And showing me where I'm stealing, where I'm not even, I'm blinded to that's what I'm doing. Because anytime that I'm not showing up as if I am giving out, then, or if there is lack, if there is limitation, scarcity. So scarcity, just scarcity itself, implies that I need to take or steal because there's something missing. So where am I experiencing lack, limitation, scarcity at the level of identity? Who do I say that I am such that abundance? I'm not abundant. I'm not, all is not available to me, so I have to steal. And then that person will show me that I'm stealing. So I do the work in my own personal work is to let me pay attention. Am I stealing attention? Am I wanting to steal applause? And noticing that because it shows up real quickly. Do I want credit? I've gone through that one in my life. I want credit for my work. And now more and more, I thought this work was given to me to be given. And I have moments. That's mine. I came up with that. And then I'll say, really? Did you? Did you? Yes, I was a space and I've worked in my life. I've gone through, I don't know how many workshops and trainings, and
it's been your life's work.
My life's work, and at doing the practices of the work, investing, reading, studying, falling apart, putting something back together. But you know what I mean? But that's the work. Until there's a moment, and now at 70, I have more peace and spaciousness in my life than I've ever had, and a resolve to contribute. And when I'm coming from with that, I don't know if anyone can take anything from me. But I can thank, this is the appreciation. Thank you for showing me this. It's like once when I was living in Los Angeles one time, someone broke into my car. And at first I was very upset. And then I said, for a couple of days, but then I said, well, thank you for showing me that you broke something physical. So now I can begin to heal what I think is broken in here. And so thank you. And it took my little, back then they had, I don't know what they had in cars, but this was in the 80s, right?
The little stick?
A little, they, but you see what happens? So can anyone steal from you? Sure, things. But if you let someone steal your dignity and your peace and your honor, then that's the biggest crime. And I said, if you let someone steal your dignity, your honor, your peace, your joy, your love, that's a bigger crime than stealing a thing, because things are replaceable, huh? But your life and the quality of your life, the quality of your relatedness and relationships can't be stolen. You can give it away, but it can't be stolen. So that's how I look at this whole notion of stealing.
I love this. And so my last question that I ask all my speakers is, what are your top 1 to 2 tips on creating an epic year?
And creating what?
An epic year, an amazing.
An amazing year. Be present. Be present as life is occurring moment to moment to moment, unfolding. And in the unfolding presence of now, all possibilities. You see, the moment is pregnant with all possibilities. But if you are thinking about the future, worrying about the past, scheming, and doing all of that kind of stuff, those moments for the space for you to invent something disappears because you're not present to the moment. It's like creation happens in terms of us as human life. Sperm, egg come together, but there must be a space in which they come together to produce the child. And if the space is all cluttered up with your doubts and your worries and trying to guarantee a future where there's no flow, then you're not going to have an amazing year. I won't have an amazing year. So I would say 1, be present. Number 2, sit with what's your heart's desire. Not what you want, but what wants to be manifested through you. Like people say, I want to be a coach. Why do you want to be a coach? So I can make a lot of money. Then don't be a coach. Go make money. Get your printer and make money, right?
Right.
But you want to be a coach so that your talents and your skills can be fully expressed for others. You will probably make more money than you will ever spend in your lifetime, right? So I would say, what is your heart's desire? What are you substituting in your life for your heart's desire? Like really? You're unique. What is it? What expression are you going to be with your life? So in 2019, I would say, be about that, and then find a community of people.
So important.
Yeah, because isolation is the opposite of health, love, well-being, joy, and then go and have a blast. And know that you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. You know, one of the things we say in my coaching program is there are there are no failures, only feedback.
Love that.
And all feedback is to help you navigate, to nurture, navigate, and cultivate your heart's desire in action and practices. Is that too esoteric?
Love it. No, you're talking my language. I could listen to you all day. I gotta get ready for Dr. Aziz, but please let us know how can they contact you for all the coaches that really want to gain authority and knowledge and credibility in this game. You get to work with the best, and Bettie is truly one of the best out there. So how can they connect with you, and where can they find you, Bettie?
Okay, they can find me on our website, idealcoachingglobal.com.
And we're going to put those links in the comments as well.
Okay, and our Bettie J. Spruill. No, I mean, say, what is it? What's my website? I know Kyla's there someplace, but
what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the websites in the comments, but I believe it is bettiejspruill.com.
Yeah.
Also links to ontological living.com. We're going to put all of that in the comments. When is the next group? When does your next coaching group start? Where you certify them through the ICF certification as well, which is amazing. Yes. When I got certified as a coach, that did not exist.
Yes.
And it's so important, again, for those coaches that want to gain authority in this industry. When is your next group starting?
This Friday in Los Angeles. And then we have another one starting in the late spring or early summer.
Beautiful.
But we will, we'll post. And like I said, we have one starting in Friday. I in Los Angeles. I believe we got 1 or 2 seats left. And if anyone is interested at all in that, you can contact Kyla, KYLA, at idealcoachingglobal.com.
Beautiful. And Kyla will definitely connect you in the right program, in the right date starting. If you're not able to make it this Friday, if you can jump on, it is amazing. And if not, make it a point to definitely, for those coaches that want to start. Because I put a post, Bettie, about fake coaches, and I got so much resistance. But I truly believe that there are a lot of coaches taking weekend workshops and calling themselves coaches, and they're in scarcity because they lack the competency.
Yeah, and this is the thing now, Michelle, why I became a member of the International Coach Federation. Yes. Because they really wanted to bring ethics to the field of coaching through training people. And 3-4 years ago, we did all the hard work to become a member. And as you said, it makes a difference. And now people are asking, we do the kind of coaching that we have is we give you the foundations of ontological, mindful, ecological coaching. And then you find your area of expertise, whether you want business, health, finances, but your relationship, you find your area. But again, it makes a difference to be in a community. And Michelle, I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Bettie.
Thank you for having me, for supporting the work that I do. And I'm going to use I intentionally. I thank you for that. And we got to go back to Africa.
We are making it happen this year.
Let's make it happen.
Like JD says, by hook or by crook.
One of my students from over there ran for president of Ghana.
That's amazing.
So people want to have the best for themselves and for each other, their families, their countries. It's amazing. And thank you for all that you contribute,
Thank
Michelle.
you. This was an amazing conversation. And we're going to go live again in about 6 minutes with Dr. Aziz. But Betty, I want to honor you. I want to honor your work and your magic in this world. And again, you're one of my favorite people out there that's doing this work. Thank you so much for all that you do and for saying yes to this.
Well, thank you and many blessings, Michelle.
Thank you. All right, guys, I'll see you in about 5 minutes.